Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys. When you get a chance, man, check out this film on Amazon Prime. It came out about maybe almost 2 weeks ago, and it's basically about Reggie Jackson. It's called Reggie, man. It's a real good piece, man. I really enjoyed watching that film. It just basically talked about Reggie Jackson all the way from basically growing up to, you know, entering the big leagues, and his experience with the Oakland A's, briefly with the Baltimore Orioles, and then signing with the Yankees as a free agent. He talked about a lot of the racism he endured, and I mean, he told some horror stories of what he went through when he was drafted by the A's in '67, when he played for the farm system in Birmingham, Alabama. They said there was, you know, places basically that he couldn't go. They wouldn't let him in. He couldn't stay at certain hotels. He had his former teammates, Raleigh Fingers, and a couple of other people. He had a great segment with Vida Blue and Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart is from the Bay Area, and he was basically talking to Vida Blue, saying that, hey man, we wasn't allowed to speak on certain subjects. They was basically hinting that they were to speak on certain subjects that was going on in the community, that basically they would be ousted out of baseball. And some people may say, well, you know what, that's being a coward. It's half and half. It's a double-edged sword. At the end of the day, I understand they gotta feed their families, and then at the same time, they can't forget about the people that's not, along for the ride. And back then, it was very difficult, which to a certain degree, even in today's climate, you still gotta have certain clout to be able to talk about certain things. You just can't be a regular run-of-the-mill person. You got to be a standout guy. Now, guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron, they can speak a little bit on certain things because they have certain levels of clout. So it's still like a measuring stick of what you can say and what you can't say. Because even LeBron James has to fall back on certain things. But back then in the 60s and the 70s, and I mean, to a certain degree, Bill Russell really couldn't talk how he wanted to talk until he got out of Boston. And then at the same time, Bill Russell living in Boston. But like I said, man, it was a great piece. It was really educational. Like, I always respected Reggie Jackson as a baseball player. He was a phenomenal baseball player. And it also showed you how much control the media had back then, because they was the only source. And a lot of times these guys wasn't allowed to tell their story, because even if you tried to say certain things, they would twist your words. Which they still do now to a certain degree, but now the game is a little bit different now. Still ain't where it need to be, but at the end of the day, if you have a certain platform or stature, there are certain things you could get away with versus certain things you can't get away with. And like I said, you still have a limitation on what you could get away with and what you can't get away with. Because at the end of the day, to a certain degree, you still controlled by somebody. And that's just real talk. I think what happens is a lot of times these dudes look upon us to kind of get what they're trying to say out there, because we have the range to say and do a little bit more than they can do. Because at the end of the day, they still, they still have to congregate, and they still have to do business with people that don't look like them. So I get it to a certain degree. But like I said before, man, you should check it out, man. It's really deep. It's really deep. You know, it's a really good piece. It was very entertaining. I may watch it again. That's how good it was. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I respected Reggie Jackson as a baseball player. I just didn't know he was as militant as he was. And like I said, he had a segment where he talked to Violet Blue and Dave Stewart. Like I said, Dave Stewart is a Bay Area native. You know, the segment I think he did with Violet Blue, that was pretty deep. And Violet Blue was saying, man, you know, back in the day when we was playing, man, if you tried to be vocal like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and people like that, which Kareem totally different now than what he was back then. He say you wouldn't have no career. Cause I understand that. I understand that. And they talk about everything from Curt Flood, which by the way, I'm gonna do another video on Curt Flood, man, because I'm gonna get together with some of these dudes from Oakland, and we need to see can we get Curt Flood at least a street named after him or something. Because like I said, if it wasn't for Curt Flood, we wouldn't have free agency. Because back then, the only way you could leave a team is via trade, and that's it. But the series is called Reggie. So when you get a chance, check it out. Anyway, this your boy Town Biz. I'm out.